Tonight we're having a 5-minute CNN piece of news. China's President Xi Jinping and Taiwan's President Ma Ying-jeou met in Singapore. They want to improve their relationships, but some Taiwanese protested against the meeting. Okay? In January 2016, Taiwan is having general elections. So one candidate supports the meeting and the other one opposes it. So whatever happened in the meeting may affect Taiwan and China for years to come. Taiwan is a 23 million people island with a vibrant democracy and a US ally which sits across the world's largest one-party state. Beijing, it's been called like that since 1949 when the Communist Party won the civil war and had to flee to the island of Taiwan. Both parts consider themselves to be the legitimate rulers of the entire Chinese territory. In time, tensions and hostility ensued. There was no travel, trade, or communications between the two, and military action was a constant presence. But in time, the tension began to ease, especially in the 1990s, when the two sides acknowledged there was only one nation of China. Taipei and Beijing came to an agreement, the so-called One China policy. Businesses from Taiwan invested billions of dollars mainland, home to 1.3 billion people and the world's second largest economy. Tourists from mainland flocked to Taiwan, especially after direct flights resumed. As we have said, Taiwan is having a general or presidential elections in January 2016, and the leading candidate in the polls favors Taiwan to be an independent state. China insists they will not tolerate this. They consider Taiwan to be a renegade, and they want them to be included with the rest of the provinces. They think they are a renegade province that must be reunited by force if necessary. Taiwanese are wary and fearful that their democracy they had for the last 6 decades may be under threat. Okay, now I don't know if you get some of the information, right? I would like you to listen to it again, okay? Are you ready?
Can we read the handout?
Yes, sure. Okay, so the handout says CNN News, China and Taiwan meet in Singapore. The first question is, what country is an USA ally?
Taiwan.
Okay, so
Oh, they already know. Excellent.
very good. Excellent, yes. Number 2, what happened to the previous Chinese government? Did you get that part? Okay. On the third, when did the tension begin to ease?
1990s.
Good. 4 decades of hostility ensued. There was no travel between trade and Beijing and Taipei came to an agreement on the so-called
One China policy.
excellent. On the 6th, Taiwanese are wary and fearful that their unique way of life, the last 6 decades, may be under threat. Okay, and then at the bottom, try to find synonyms for to flee, to ensue, to flock, and weary. Would you like to listen to it again? I'll try to do my best, okay? Okay. China's President Xi Jinping and Taiwan's President Ma Ying-jeou met in Singapore. Both want to improve their relationship, but some Taiwanese protested against the meeting. Taiwan is having general elections in January 2016. One candidate supports the meeting and the other one opposes it. So whatever happens in the elections may affect China and Taiwan for years to come. Taiwan is a 23 million people island with a vibrant democracy and a US ally which sits across the world's largest one-party state. Beijing has been called like that since 1949 when the Communist Party won the civil war and the government had to flee to the island of Taiwan. Both sides call themselves the legitimate rulers of the entire Chinese territory. Both sides acknowledge there was one only nation of China. So these paved to the so-called One China policy, which helped with economical and cultural cooperation. The tension, as we said, began to ease in the 1990s. Millions of businesses from mainland, businesses from Taiwan have invested billions of dollars in mainland, home to 1.3 billion people and the world's second largest economy. Millions of tourists flocked to the island of Taiwan, especially after direct flights resumed. And as we said, Taiwan is having general elections or presidential elections in January 2016. Okay, the leading candidate in the polls favors Taiwan to be an independent state. China will not tolerate this, and they insist Taiwan to be reunited by force if necessary. Taiwanese are wary and fearful that their cultivated over 6 decades style of life may be under threat. That's it. Okay?
Wow.
Find the answers?
Okay.
Yes? Okay. We say number 1 is Taiwan. What happened to the previous Chinese government? Did you get that part?
They had to flee to the Taiwan island.
Good. They had to flee to the island of Taiwan. When did the tension begin to ease? We said it was back in the 1990s. Decades of hostility ensued. There was no travel, trade, and communications. Right? We said Beijing and Taipei came to an agreement on the so-called One China policy. We mentioned that before. Taiwanese are wary and fearful, that you said that before too, that their unique way of life, that is cultivated over the last 6 decades may be under threat. Decades. Try to find synonyms for to flee, to escape. Absolutely good. To ensue. What do you think? In the context, we see what happened. Can you remember that? No? Followed. Okay? Followed. Okay. To flock. As a verb, right? To gather, exactly. To travel to, right? And as a noun, we know is a flock, right? Of animals. And wary. So, fearful is one synonym. Fearful.
Quite scared.
W-A-R-Y.
I listened to it, and I did the transcription, the phonological transcription, because I didn't know this word, right? So on the side, I wrote wary, and it's fearful, careful, scared. So the Taiwanese are wary and fearful, to be concerned about something. Okay, any questions about this? No?
I'm impressed.
How
Sorry.
sorry?
I'm impressed. Yes, really
Okay,
impressed.
thank you.
How long so we
How did you memorize all this?
Okay. I listened to the piece of music, right? And I transcribe it, right? Then I summarize it, put it together, and then learn it by memory and practice many times.
in front of mirror.
First, without the mirror, and finally, eventually, I practice in front of the mirror. I wanted to have the journalist look, but it's not easy, right? I wanted to look professional, but they speak with the hands, right? They talk with the hands, so.
And how many times? When you say many times, do you mean 3 times, 5 times?
Maybe 25 or 30.
Maybe more.
Precisely. It's very time consuming to be a C1 advanced student.
I thought this could be one of my weakest points, so I invested time on this. And maybe in the future I'll do another one on a different subject, because it helps you to enrich your vocabulary and also learn how to speak, right, on this depth.
And related to motivation, are you interested in this theme or this
Not
topic?
particularly.
In China or the
Not particularly.
world?
Well, I started learning
Taiwan, Hong Kong,
Mandarin a while ago, but I stopped, right? But I'm not particularly. Only as Michelle mentioned, I like the idea of independence. They want to get like it happens in Catalonia. So I thought it would be an appealing subject to talk about or to listen to it. Because
they enjoyed the years with the English.
yes,
So it's totally different.
having to be a U.S. ally made them have a very good life, and now they don't want to lose their liberties and freedoms they won over and they cultivated or lived with for the past 60 years. So now for them it's kind of hard.
Okay, in this sense, what does it remind you to? Another case in Spain, not Catalonia. Gibraltar. They want to be British. Well, they are.
But we're not China.
No, they want to
China.
be free.
They want to be independent too.
Yes.
Yes, the Gibraltarians want to be
They want to
independent.
be English or British.
No,
they want to
they-
be British.
British.
Well,
British. They want to belong to.
They have a better welfare society, a better welfare system.
Yeah.
they're part of the Commonwealth, right?